We welcome you to another live edition of the Sports Box, brought to you by our friends at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and use the box at sign up for 10 points. And here we go.
And welcome everybody to another edition of Unsportsmanlike Conduct here on the Sports Box. I'm Paul Macrie alongside Mike Velardi here on this last day of August. And I guess we could treat this August 31st like we do for most July 31st. And that is the Major League Baseball trade deadline occurred today at 4 p.m. So a lot of moves had taken place this afternoon with this abbreviated season. Some teams are really going for it. San Diego Padres, one of them. So we'll talk about that for a lot of the show tonight. We'll get into some of, obviously, what's going on with the hockey playoffs, with the Flyers now on the brink of elimination, NBA playoffs continuing, and then also a little bit of NFL as the season's almost here. Just 13 days away from the, the big Sunday, first Sunday of the NFL season, and then, of course, 10 days before the Thursday night opener. So, Velardi, you want to get into, your shout-outs or
Yeah, no problem. It's a sponsor, by the way. So
go ahead.
Let's give a shout-out to our sponsor, CrowdPlay. You could find them on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Free virtual games for you guys to play. If you use our sign-up code, the box, at sign-up, you'll get a free 10 points, I believe. Check it out. Good people over there at CrowdPlay. Became good friends with them. So check out our sponsor tonight.
All right. So we'll start off with send in your questions to us, comments. We will read them throughout the evening. But I think the first one here, if we have here on the banner, the Padres, who were very active during this trade deadline. Not only today, the last couple of days, it seemed like, as they're in prime position, second place right now in the National League West, just a couple games behind the Dodgers, but they are a red hot team right now. And they made the biggest move of all of the trade deadline, acquiring Indians frontline starter Mike Clevenger, also outfielder Greg Allen, and a player to be named later. And the Padres parted with catcher Austin Hedges, Josh Naylor, Cal Quantrill, and a couple other prospects. But I don't think any of their top two or three they didn't end up parting with.
Right. Well, that's usually, unless you're asking for the Phillies to make a trade with you, that's usually what happens. They want all the Phillies' best people, but the Padres are going for it, man. They're
good for them. Listen,
they have a great record right now, and if it wasn't for the Dodgers, I mean, they'd be sitting pretty in the NL West. So, listen, got a great young. Listen, the Machado to the Padres last year doesn't seem like it's too far fetched now. He made the right move, going to that team. And Tatis is just an animal right now. He is spark plugging that team, and they're pitching. I mean, they're going to make their pitching stronger. And you have Paddock, now you have Clevenger. Clevenger's an ace, pretty much on any team, and they just acquired an ace to go with a pitching staff that's not very bad right now.
Yeah, obviously they probably needed one more arm, and that obviously fulfills that need right there by acquiring Clevenger. But their offense has been ridiculous as well. Home runs, it seems like, they were on a grand slam streak last week, and then also, as you just said with Manny Machado, I believe he was the player of the week in the National League. He had a tremendous week. I think he had 6 home runs last week. Yeah. And Hosmer's playing well. As you said, Tatis, obviously the young star in the games. So a lot of buzz right now at San Diego. The Padre fan base, of course, it's a shame for a lot of these teams, obviously, that can't have fans at the stadium right now. But the Padres fan base has been starving for a playoff appearance. I think it's been
2007. I think I heard. I think it's what it was.
You're right. 2007. Jake Peavy was their ace, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
So that shows you how long ago it was. And here they are now in 2020 with a pretty good chance to make the playoffs, especially with the expanded playoff field we have here in 2020.
Paul, not to break away from baseball, but we are the Sports Box, and we give breaking news updates when they occur. So we're going to hit you with something right now.
We have breaking news here on the Sports Box.
Okay, so the Kansas City Chiefs were in the NFL news here, finalizing 6-year contract extensions for Andy Reid and GM Brett Veach. So,
Hey, listen. I mean, I guess all you have to do is draft Patrick Mahomes, and you win a Super Bowl, and you get another 6 years of life as a head coach.
Well, I think with Andy, it was just how much longer does he want to coach was the question. It had nothing to do with job security with him.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, at this point, I mean, listen, I know I catch a lot of flack for backing up Andy. And let me tell you something. The guy was a winning the winning coach in Philadelphia, and he's been a winning coach in Kansas City. Okay? You can't – everybody said he hasn't won the big game. Well, that's out of the question too now because he has won the big game. So the guy's a good coach. And he's getting rewarded for it.
Yep. So, I think he's 62, 63 now. So if he wants to coach until he's almost 70 years old, I mean, that's
his win totals and stats are up, aren't they? He's in the top 10, right? In wins, I believe, in NFL history.
Yeah. I want to say he's in the top 10, if not 8 right now. I don't quite recall where he is all time, but I believe he's in the top 10. And, I mean, he's a future Hall of Fame head coach now. So, I mean, if anything was the last, on his resume to accomplish, he just did it in February. So
he is number 7 on the list.
Okay.
207 wins. He will pass Paul Brown this year at 213. And he's only 43 away from, believe it or not, Tom Landry. So that just goes to show you.
Landry coached a long time for the Cowboys.
29 years as a head coach. Andy's only been there 21 as a head coach.
Landry didn't have some good years there for a while, though, with the Cowboys, too. I think it was mixed in with some bad results there. But, I mean, Kansas City, they're going to go into the season, obviously, with a very good shot at making another run as long as as long as Mahomes stays healthy and plays at the MVP level. It's going to be very tough for any of them to.
Here's a question for you. Not that I want to stick on football right now, but I'm looking at this list.
Yeah. 207
wins for Andy Reid. Okay. Mm-hmm. 273 for Bill Belichick. Okay. And Belichick's been 24 years longer. He does have a lot more wins. I mean, he's got 70.
I think he's got to be averaging like 11 wins per year right now.
Well, that was my question to you.
Yeah.
Does anybody get to Shula's 328?
Wow.
Listen, Belichick, even if he wins 10 games the next 4 seasons, that still doesn't put him. That still doesn't put him at Shula.
And if he's going to coach for another 5 years at least, obviously, right now he's in an uncertain, like as far as a franchise quarterback. Right now, it doesn't appear like he has one on his roster.
Yeah.
With Cam Newton on the last part of his career, and obviously with Jared Stidham, obviously, he could be a serviceable starter, but I don't think he's got franchise potential. So
right.
He's going to need that next quarterback to take him to that consistent winning culture that they obviously built there. So
we got some comments coming in from John Suggs. We'll hit all 3 of them actually because John's a very good viewer to us.
Yep.
His pick of the Dallas Stars. I know we're bouncing around between things right now because of the breaking news, but Dallas Stars, listen, they look good right now to the chagrin of Brian Attard because he has a lot of action apparently riding on the Avalanche.
Yeah.
But, listen, hey, they're playing well. They have a good team. Sagan, they have snipers. The one guy's got 8 or 9 goals this postseason. Guryanov, he's got 8 or 9 goals this year. So we'll jump to the next one. I think Dabo leaves Clemson next year to coach Jacksonville. I actually did hear that rumor today that they're clearing house of Ngakoue and they got rid of Fournette. And the coach is going to be next, and him and Lawrence are going to come next year.
Yeah, Maroon's a lame duck at this point.
Do him and Lawrence – listen, Paul, is there a chance that if they get the first overall pick next year, does Dabo leave and join Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville?
I can never picture him being an NFL head coach, to be honest with you.
If there's just some guys going with him,
there's just some guys that they're great college coaches. You just can't envision them. I mean, even Nick Saban struggled in his brief tenure in Miami as a head coach. Right. I understand if he's got his own quarterback and he feels comfortable enough to make the jump, then he'll do it, I guess, in theory. But you better hope you have the that franchise guy, because if you're going to the next level with an uncertain quarterback room, you're doomed for failure. I mean, and that's what happened with Saban. And, Steve Spurrier struggled in the NFL. I mean, these guys are all-time college coaches and did not have success at the next level. So,
speaking of college coaches, John's next thing was about John Thompson, who passed away, I believe, last night.
Yep.
And a lot of things are circulating on Twitter that I was reading and watching about the Allen Iverson Hall of Fame press conference that he had before, and saying that John Thompson saved his life pretty much. And when nobody wanted him and he was, having trouble with the law, Georgetown of all the academic universities come calling to Allen Iverson, and, credit to John Thompson. He stuck with him and look what he got out of him. It's a sad story.
Yeah, one of the all-time great college basketball coaches as well. Obviously Iverson, and I saw he posted today about his experiences, and said basically when they talked, especially towards the end of his life, it was never about basketball, it was just about life. So obviously the relationship that they had went beyond just a player coach. So
all right, let's we can roll back to our trade deadline talk. We did hit on the Clevenger trade. Padres definitely get a win for that trade, right? I mean, they're going for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's good for them.
Unless he wants to go party again and get, in the COVID era.
I wonder if that was part of it with Cleveland, but
it might have been. It might have been.
I don't know.
Who knows, though? I mean, for them to trade their ace, and it's not like Cleveland's out of it. You know what I mean?
And he's a controllable pitcher, right?
Yeah.
I would think he's a young guy. So, I don't know. I mean, I know Cleveland had been hinting even before this season. Lindor was, on the, trade rumors throughout the offseason as he's entering his last year of his contract. So, Cleveland's it's weird because Cleveland's, tied for first place right now with Chicago, and both teams are playing well, and Cleveland's got great pitching staff. Struggle a little bit offensively, but it's hard to believe that they're stuck in a spot where in a short season like this with a chance to maybe make a run, and with the Yankees struggling right now in the AL and they got their injury problems. Tampa's obviously having a great season, and Oakland, but they could stack up with those two teams in the playoffs if it comes down to pitching staff. So I don't know. I mean, I understand from a payroll perspective, some of these teams want to cut, back on, their payroll and all that. And I guess that was part of it here. So.
Absolutely. So moving down the line here, we have Marlins acquiring Starling Marte from the D-backs for left-handed pitcher Caleb Smith, Humberto Mejia, and a player to be named later. What are the Marlins doing here? What are they trying to do?
Because they were kind of in a buy/sell mode.
Weird.
Which for them, I mean, they're starting to get in position a little bit to, they have a really good farm system now. It took them obviously 3 to 4 years to get to that point with all the losing they were doing.
Yeah.
And this year they're 500. So they're playing pretty solid. I know they started the year like 8-1, I want to say, so they tailed off a little bit. But I mean, this is a team that maybe they're figuring Starling Marte, if you have a chance with some of the prospects they have to get a little bit more of established outfielder who's in the prime of his career. I mean, he just got traded from the Pirates to the D-backs this offseason. So here we go, he got traded twice here in a matter of like 5 months, 6 months. So Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I could see where Miami's coming from by doing something like this to kind of surround their team with a guy in his prime, a veteran, and maybe they have enough. Maybe they're going to start spending a little more money again and start building up that payroll again. So,
just going through a couple of these too, we had A's acquiring Mike Minor, left-handed pitcher from the Rangers. A veteran left-handed pitcher who could help the A's down the road. I guess the A's saw a couple of the teams getting some, firepower and just wanted to shore up their rotation.
Yeah, because Toronto added like 3 pitchers, I believe, today.
Yeah, here's one of them right here. Blue Jays acquiring Robbie Ray from the D-backs. Robbie Ray's having kind of a down year right now.
He is. Yeah.
And, Blue Jays, you know what they said? They said, we know what the potential is of him, and we're going to try and go after it. So Blue Jays aren't out of it either. The AL East is kind of wide open for the first time in a long time. So, you don't have the Red Sox and the Yankees just fighting for it. So
yeah,
they ended up losing 5 or 6 in a row at one point.
Yeah, Tampa used that sweep against the Yankees last week or 2 weeks ago, and that's propelled them. Now they've won 5 in a row. Now the Yankees, after they were sliding a little bit, they've now won 3 in a row against the Mets over the weekend after they got swept in that doubleheader on Friday.
Right.
So, and as you said, Toronto's playing well, and they added some pieces this offseason. I saw that, obviously they played in a doubleheader against the Phillies a couple of weeks ago. They got a pretty good lineup there. Yeah. Young players like Vlad, Jr. and,
Bo Bichette, Cavan Biggio.
Cavan Biggio, who's having a nice season. So,
and as you can see there, they just acquired Jonathan VR too from the Marlins. So the Marlins, they're doing their due diligence. They're doing what they usually do: trade at the at the deadline in the off season and just reload. And it's almost like they won those 2 World Series. Well, they won 2, right? 2 of those World Series.
2.
They won 2 World Series titles with guys we never heard of, pretty much, or a very veteran-based team.
And the one guy that did not get Archie Bradley got traded today. The Reds acquired him. That's a good move to shore up the back end of their bullpen. I wanted the Phillies to get him, but obviously we'll talk about who they got as far as a late inning option now as well. The one pitcher that did not move today that was really highly sought after, Lance Lynn, who's having another great season.
What happened there?
In Texas. There was talks. I think the Dodgers tried to make a late move, and nothing worked out. So the Rangers are going to hold on to him, and the Rangers obviously are going nowhere this year. So that's interesting that nothing happened there. And the Dodgers did make one move. They actually traded away a pitcher, Ross Stripling, going to the Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays added 3 pitchers today.
That probably opens the door from Dustin May to maybe stay there, or one of the younger kids. That Tony Gonsolin, he's been pitching pretty well. So they need to get these guys in the lineup. Stripling was that mid guy. He was that middle relief guy who could throw relief innings, but he could also start and give you 5 or 6 innings.
Yep, that's exactly what he is. And obviously Walker Buehler has been a little bit banged up this year. They need to get him. Obviously, they're not concerned. They'll get him going, geared up here the final month going into the postseason. And, they'll obviously make a run. And the Mets, Robinson Chirinos from the Rangers, the Mets have been looking for another catcher for a while. Wilson Ramos is struggling, never was a really good defensive catcher at all. Yep. And they also acquired Todd Frazier, so he's back with the Mets.
They were saying that move could mean that J.D. Davis is either not healthy or something's going on with him because, Frazier, you're going to probably start the guy. I would think, coming over here, he still has some good. Yeah, he still has some good time left in him. So I believe that's maybe a reasoning why. I don't think he's just a depth move. I think that he's going to play.
Yeah, the Mets looked like they were going to get things going after that sweep and that doubleheader against the Yankees, and now they've lost 4 in a row. They lost earlier this afternoon to Miami, so they're heading in the wrong direction again. So
yeah. They also acquired right-handed pitcher Miguel Castro from the Orioles for left-handed pitcher Kevin Smith and a player to be named later. As we move down the ticker, we have Cameron Maven. This guy seems to just be on every team in baseball.
He's been on a lot of teams.
He's been on a lot of teams, and once again, I think he was an overrated player coming out. Was he a 1 pick?
He was a high pick. I know. Would he start with Miami? At that time was the Florida Marlins. And then he was with San Diego for a while, Padres.
Tigers.
Tigers. I think he had a brief stint with the Yankees.
He was the 10th overall pick in the 05 draft.
Wow.
Draft.
The Marlins.
He's been in the league 15 years, man. He's 33 years old.
Marlins, right?
Detroit drafted him.
Ah. Did he
debut with the Tigers in 2007? He won in 2017. He won a World Series with the Astros, another team he was on.
Did he play for the Marlins at all?
Yeah, he played for the Marlins.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, he definitely played for the Marlins. Let's check it out. Let's see. So he was with. So he got drafted and played 24 games with Detroit, and then was traded to Florida. It looks like, because he played with Florida for 3 years, then the Padres for 4 years, Atlanta, Detroit, the Angels, Houston, Miami again, Seattle, the Yankees, Detroit. Holy Christ! This guy's been on 7 or 8 teams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 teams. This is his 10th team that he's going to.
Wow.
That's a lot of I mean, and for a guy,
a third of the league. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's had a career 256 batting average, which is not very good. I mean, it's not disastrous, but for a 10 overall pick, it might be.
Yeah, it didn't quite live up to, obviously being a top 10 pick.
Drafted out of high school as well.
Yeah. So, the Cubs, they were off to a really hot start. They kind of tailed off a little bit, but they still maintain a half-game lead in the Central over the or 3.5 game. I'm sorry, 3.5 game lead right now over St. Louis. Everybody else in the division is below 500, so they're looking pretty good still. And the Rockies here, Red Sox they made a couple of selling moves today, but not the big ones like Xander Bogaerts or JD Martinez or Rafael Devers or anybody like that.
Yep.
But they traded outfielder Kevin Pillar today to the Rockies. So the Rockies added another bat to their lineup who are sitting right now at 500 at the moment in the Central.
Get to the Phillies move. Phillies acquired right-handed pitcher David Phelps from the Brewers for 3 players to be named later. This is a Joe Girardi move. He had Phelps back with the Yankees, I want to say for 3 years while he was with the Yankees, 3 of his 10 while he was with the Yankees. Listen, it's another arm in the bullpen. I'm not going to say it's one of the better moves that they've made, but it'll add some depth. It'll add another piece that you could bring out besides the slop they've been putting out every night.
Well, he's probably having his best year to date.
Right. I think he's got a 2.55 ERA around
now. 13 innings of work, so it's not a large sample size here, but 13 innings, 20 strikeouts, under 1 WHIP. So that means he's not really walking anybody. So he's got good control. And he's since 2000, I think over the last 2 years, his right-handed hitters are hitting 196 against him. So
what's wrong with that? Especially in the ballpark.
Yeah, so that's obviously in Girardi, a fan favorite of Girardi. So you're going to bring him in now in the mix. I think Brandon Workman's going to remain your closer. He hasn't looked the strongest so far. He's been kind of shaky, but they're going to continue with him, and it looks like Neris is going to settle into some type of late inning role, depending on the situation, 7th or 8th inning. Heath Hembry has been used a lot so far and has been pretty reliable.
Yeah.
To this point, so you add David Phelps to that mix, and David Hale was the other guy they brought in the trade, and I don't think he's going to be much of a guy that they're going to use late inning by any means because he got lit up in his first appearance in a Phillies uniform last night.
Yeah.
Now, he came in for Arrieta, who didn't show up last night, but still gave up some runs after that. So it's a good move. Matt Klentak did what he had to do as far as shoring up this bullpen. It was obviously on him that the bullpen wasn't like this from the get-go this season to at least add some veterans instead of the slop they had.
Yep.
But at least he, made some moves to make the team better and at least the bullpen better. The offense is hitting on all cylinders right now, the Phillies offense. They're second in the league in on-base percentage, 4th in OPS.
And Reese just hit another home run tonight. I think he's starting to find his niche.
Yep. Jay Bruce hit a home run. He's back in the lineup. He was on the injured list for 2 weeks, I believe. So, speaking
of the Phillies and Braves that they were just in town, you have Tommy Malone was acquired. He was the opposite pitcher last night.
And he got let up
to a 10-run lead.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's 10-8.
Yeah.
So you give a new guy coming to a new team, just got there that day, a 10-run lead. You're thinking to yourself, what could be even better than this? Give up 8 runs the next inning. So
yeah, how about that? And the Braves, they needed some starting pitching in the deadline. I mean, they added Malone in a smaller move, but they did not make a move, I don't believe, today at all. And I'm sure they were in the Lance Lynn's discussion, I would have to think.
They must have wanted a boatload for Lance Lynn not to get rid of him.
I'm sure. Yeah, and so the Braves now, other than Max Fried, who I believe is pitching tonight.
Soroka's hurt.
Soroka's
Cole
done,
Nevitt
right?
got released.
Yeah.
Well, he's in the minors, I believe.
They were counting on Cole Hamels, who's not going to pitch this year. So they got, Fried, who's obviously their ace, and a lot of kind of unknowns in their starting rotation right now.
Yeah.
And Acuna got hurt again last night.
I saw that.
So I don't know. I didn't see that. I don't think he went on the injured list, but he did not play tonight either. At least wasn't in the starting lineup. So this division, I mean, as far as the Phillies, if you look at their perspective, as bad as they were, when we were talking last week, things are looking more encouraging now as far as, as expanded playoffs. They have, at the very least, I think there's no reason why they shouldn't be the second place team in this division.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah.
Now, I'll still give the Braves a division. And the Phillies finished 5-5 against the Braves this year, but and should have been even better record. But they got to, the Nationals aren't playing well this year. It looks like they're just chalking this season up to we won the World Series last year. Circumstances are not going to allow us in a 60-game season to really make up any ground. With Strasburg out for the year. So, they're kind of just letting things go. So I really think there's no reason for the Phillies not to be in the second place in the division, which assures them a playoff spot.
Right. I mean, I agree with everything you just said. They just got, if they can start hitting them, if they're hitting the ball, they're producing offensively, they just need to get the pitching. And the starting pitching's been okay. It's the bullpen. So as long as they get that bullpen in order, they're going to be okay. The Padres made more moves. We'll just kind of touch on them briefly.
Go ahead.
Austin Nola, catcher for first baseman / I believe it's Aaron Nola's brother.
It is Aaron Nola's brother, yeah. Yep.
Good move there. He's playing very well this year.
With Seattle,
It's another depth move. You also have them acquiring Jason Castro.
So they added
another catcher.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's almost like they're just retooling every position one by one.
Well, I guess they identified a couple of their whatever remaining weaknesses were and went after, some guys to shore up and at least be serviceable for them. And then as you put on here now, they added Mitch Moreland as well, first base / DH. So he's
doing well too this year. I think he's got like 8 or 9 home runs. I mean, it's another guy. You have Hosmer pretty much as your first baseman, but you can't get much more depth and experience than a winning. Mitch Moreland's been on a winning team for a while here, so that's what you need with those young guys you have.
Absolutely.
Touch on another one of the Padres' moves.
Trevor Rosenthal.
I mean, they are loaded right now. They're loaded with guys who are excelling right now.
It's a great move for them because Kirby Yates, with him being out right now, and he's not out for the year, but I think they're expecting him to be out a little bit longer. This gives them now the option to put him as the closer because I believe their other closer got hurt as well. What's
Kirby Yates?
No. They had an forget their other guy who stepped into that role. He's a left-handed pitcher. I don't know why I can't think of it right now. But Trevor Rosenthal, who
it's Drew Pomeranz.
Yeah, Pomeranz. Yep. He got hurt as well. So Rosenthal, who had 6 or 7 saves, I believe, for a bad Kansas City team, is going to step into that role. And as you put here, Oakland acquires everybody's favorite utility guy, Tommy La Stella, who's always on a Joe Madden team. So Joe Madden probably had a tough time parting ways with him today.
Yeah.
But La Stella goes to the Oakland A's. So an American League West trade here went down with the Angels obviously rock bottoming this year.
Got one last one for you right here. That's John Suggs kind of touched on it. We have Taiwan Walker from the Mariners. Blue Jays acquiring him. Blue Jays making some subtle moves here and there. I think that they really have a shot. How their young pitchers, who's a Pearson's their young pitcher, how he kind of comes out of what his deal is, and the Blue Jays are a surprise team, like you said, very young infield.
Mm-hmm.
Randall Grichuk, he's playing really well.
Grichuk, yeah.
They have the players. They need that pitching. If they can get the pitching, they're going to be okay. And this will pretty much shore it up a little bit. So
yeah, they brought in, obviously their big signing in the offseason was bringing in Ryu to be their starter. Gave him $80 million, but as you said, to add a couple other pieces. And listen, I've said it obviously several times now, but with the expanded playoffs this year, the Toronto Blue Jays, they feel like they can be, one of those wild card teams. Obviously, I believe the Yankees and Rays are going to be your top two teams in the American League East, whatever order right now. But I think the Blue Jays believe they have a shot, in this expanded playoffs to make the playoffs, and they haven't done so in 4 years.
Right.
When they made that back-to-back run in the American League Championship Series when they had Jose Bautista and company at that time. So.
All right, well, that's our baseball. Actually, a half an hour running the dot for baseball talk, so that was good. I guess we could touch on the team in Philadelphia that we don't want to talk about right now, but they're not out of it yet. Talk about the Flyers right now for a little bit.
They're not done yet.
It has not looked good the last 2 or 3 games. Paul, let me ask you a question. What did you think of the decision to not play Carter Hart last night?
I actually was not – I wasn't surprised, but I didn't mind it.
The reason I'm asking is because, all right, you have a back-to-back. It's not like goalies don't play back-to-backs. Sometimes most of the time the backup goalie plays or whoever. Right. This is the playoffs, man. I mean, I'm not trying to steal Iverson's practice speech, but this is the playoffs. Like, the kid's 22 years old. I mean, it's a 7 o'clock game and an 8 o'clock game the next day. It's not like it's a 7 and a 1. Come on, man. All right, so now let me play devil's advocate here.
Interestingly, the Islanders went with Tomas Greiss last night. Their backup. So,
but they were also up.
They were in a better situation, right?
So let me listen. So if let's say they win last night, let's say Elliott throws a shutout and they win last night, who do you start in Game 4 or Game 5?
No, I would have went back to Carter Hart regardless.
Well, I know that. We would have. Yeah. I'm just saying, is that somewhere where, okay, the Islanders score a quick goal or two, boom, he's out again. You know what I mean? So where's the consistency? Where's the consistency at? And listen, not that I'm knocking the decision to play Elliott. Elliott wasn't the reason why they lost.
Yeah.
I just feel like if it's a different team, if it's Carey Price, you don't see the other goalie in there. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, but it was round robin play, so obviously a whole different scenario. I mean, Brian Elliott did play one game in the round robin. I'm just thinking,
you don't really see this unless a goalie gets.
I think he was just trying to identify what was I going to do to shake up the lineup, which needed it. And I guess he figured that none of the forwards and defensemen were the solution, and then he was going to try to shake it up with the goalie.
Paul, what did I say? What did I say that the Sports Box does for you? They give breaking news to you, right?
Yes.
Here we go.
We have breaking news here on the Sports Box.
We have confirmed reports that Derwin James will miss 6 to 8 months.
Another big injury for him.
Injury.
Wow. What a shame for him and obviously the team. Yeah.
That's very concerning on that team as well.
Yep.
I'm sure our buddy Drew Trammell's not going to like that too much. So that's a tough blow for the Chargers defense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's talk about not having much luck at all. I mean, he doesn't. I mean, that's just kind of unspeakable, to be honest with you, to go through that again. So
Yep.
And another season-ending injury for him.
Getting back to our Flyers discussion, if you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us your thoughts and opinions. I know my brother-in-law is fairly excited over this shitty-ass team he watches. But listen, if you can't – well, let's put it this way. If your number one line, who I don't know, still hasn't been broken apart yet, doesn't even have a goal. I mean, Giroux had a good game yesterday.
He did. It was easily his best game, yeah.
He still didn't score, though. No. I mean, it's not like, if he scores, he's all – your captain is your guy who has to – you ever see Ovechkin go into a 10-game goalless drought in the playoffs or one goal in his last 27 playoff games? These are the kind of captains and the kind of people that you need as your superstars in your team. I'm not comparing Giroux to Ovechkin. I'm just saying that's how I feel. You need your guy. Couturier stepping up a little bit, Voracek stepping up a little bit, but where's Konechny? Where's Giroux? Where are these guys at? How do you just disappear?
Yeah, I agree. And I think with both Konechny and Voracek has disappeared. He had a good series against Montreal, but he's done nothing in this series. But for Voracek and Giroux, obviously, who have not Giroux and Konechny, who have not scored a goal at all in these playoffs.
Man.
I mean, now it's just becoming a frustration thing for them. Anytime they get close, as far as shooting the puck on net, they get frustrated when the goalie stops it. So, I mean, it's just, it's when you have those two guys not doing what you expect them to do, then it's going to be very tough to win. So here we are now.
Sportsbox co-owner, COO, CEO / whatever you want to call him, Brian Attard says, I absolutely hated sitting Hart. There's no travel. You're down 2-1 in the series. Wasn't why they lost, but it's abysmal call by AV. Me and Brian don't usually agree a lot, so we'll agree with this one. I know he doesn't like AV, so I think that's why a little bit he's agreeing with me there. But, I mean, I agree with that as well. Like, there's no need. There was no need to sit him. I mean, he did give up a bad goal or two the other night and might have cost him. He did not play good the other night, but, John Suggs, JG Pajot needs to be in the mix more for the Flyers or for the Islanders.
He meant for the Islanders.
I listen, Barzal, him, Anders Lee, Brock Nelson. They got guys.
Jordan Eberle. Yeah.
They got guys who can put the puck in the net, and they're doing just enough to beat the Flyers.
They're top heavy, but that's the guys that are expected to produce are producing.
Barzal.
Pajot, didn't they give him after they traded for him from Ottawa? They gave him an extension.
Yeah.
So
he's okay. He's been great for them. He's been good for them.
And they've gotten very solid goaltending from both guys. Varlamov obviously in 3 of the 4, and then last night Grice, who obviously has experience as well.
Yep.
I think the difference for them has just been probably the head coach. I mean, I know people are like, Barry Trotz took him so long to win in Washington. How good of a coach can he be? But I think obviously the system's doing something. I mean, if this team finally woke up when they had a very mediocre regular season before stoppage, and then they get to the restart, and all they've been doing is winning games. Since then, obviously something clicked for them finally. So,
well, I agree with that. As BTA would say, the Islanders are playing in front of nobody, so it's like an actual home game for them.
Yeah, that's been his joke for the last 15 years probably.
I wonder what his feelings are if the Islanders win this series, go on to play Tampa, and beat Tampa Bay.
Well,
what his feelings are if it would be like, I don't know. I want to know what he was thinking.
Tampa, they have a chance to wrap up the series tonight against Boston.
Bay.
So Boston won the first game, right, in that series, and Tampa's won the last 3.
Yeah.
So, this is no surprise. I mean, Tampa seems like every year they're right in that conversation. Last year they got a really disappointing start to that when they got swept in that first round series against Columbus last year. So, and there you go. You hear the banner right there, basically just reiterating what we already said.
Yep. We got about 15 to 20 minutes left on our show. We want to give another shout out to our friends over at Crowd Play.
15 minutes. We have to give team.
Oh yeah,
off.
that's right. We do have teeing off after this, so we're going to give you about another 10, 15
at
minutes.
At the bottom of the hour.
At the bottom of the hour, we got Dave Cartwright and Mike Galetta coming on to tell us how bad Tiger Woods is, not making the playoff cut, and some 66-foot putt by John Rahm.
Did you see that live?
I thought that the DJ putt was even better.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
But the fact that you basically had those two moments within 20 minutes of each other, when basically the entire week was kind of dull, scoring was very tough to come by. It played like a U.S. Open, basically.
Yeah.
So
it's tough.
Yeah.
John Suggs, real quick before we get off of hockey, do you think the Stars hire the interim coach for next year? If they win the Stanley Cup, they're going to.
It seems like a hockey, with head coaches, they always get there's not really the leash is as short as any coach in any other sport, I believe. Don't you think? With hockey head coaches?
Oh, yeah.
So,
I'll tell you what,
sometimes that works.
The NBA's getting like that too now.
What's that?
The NBA is getting like that too now. Nate McMillan got an extension 2 months ago, and he got fired yesterday, 2 days ago.
I saw that.
How do you give somebody an extension a month ago, and then you fire them?
I don't know.
Weird. But moving on to any other news, I don't really want to talk about the Sixers because I really don't care about them right now. And Brett Brown got fired.
We did go over that last week, and obviously we await to see who they're going to hire as their head coach.
Dominoes.
But
are there any odds out like on Bovada for the next head coach? I think Jason Kidd was in the lead from what I heard.
Was he?
That's what I heard. He's one of the favorites. He wants the job.
I thought it was Tyronn Lue.
Jason Kidd, from what I hear, wants the job.
Or like Sam Cassell.
He's a Lakers assistant right now.
Yeah, that's right. He is.
I don't want Sam Cassell. Buck ugly. I don't want him.
At this point, I don't know if the head coach is going to really matter because the front office is the front office, and we all know that's a huge problem.
Oh yeah.
And the players, are they going to change the way they've been as far as doing what they need to do to get to that next step and doing everything possible? And I just don't think that some of these guys really care that much to take that next step. So, I mean, we'll see. Maybe I
wouldn't mind Nate McMillan actually being the coach. I wouldn't mind that. Nah. Yeah, but listen, it's experience, man.
I want experience.
Brett Brown came in as an assistant coach.
I know.
You do want a guy who's been on the bench as a head coach. Right. Listen, the Indiana teams were very successful. They just didn't get out of the first round ever. That was their problem. They couldn't win the first round game, and and maybe it's the players, maybe whatever the case is, but at least he's getting them there. So maybe the Sixers, Simmons, and Embiid, maybe they need a different system. They need something different because what they were doing with Brett Brown was not working.
No, I agree. I mean, we'll see, and the playoffs continue, and they can't get done soon enough, as far as I'm concerned. The NBA playoffs.
That is true.
Boston did destroy Toronto in the first.
They were up 21 points by the end of the first quarter, and it was over by then.
Maybe they're going to win. Maybe they're going to win it all.
Brad Stevens.
As long as the Lakers
good young coach.
Yeah.
All you need. So we talked hockey. We talked baseball.
How about this? How about the football? Let's get briefly. What's your thoughts on Jason Peters asking for more money to go play left tackle again?
Hit the road, bro. Hit the road. I wouldn't even care at this point. I mean, come on, dude. Because left tackle's harder. You want to try and get more money?
Well, left tackle is a more premium position.
I don't give a shit. He's made all his money. I thought it wasn't about the money.
I mean, I understand it from the one aspect of the business side of it that he's obviously taken the side of, but the other side as being a teammate and a good teammate obviously has gone out the window because we know those types of that decision that he has made obviously is clear that he's in it to squeeze as much money as he can. But we've learned also from Jason Peters, he must have lost a lot of money in casino over his years with the Eagles.
But what does it tell you as a fan and as a? I mean, listen, this guy didn't have a job, okay, and the Eagles pretty much did him a favor,
right?
By
nobody else wanted him.
All these guys, bring Jason back, bring Peters back. They didn't have to sign him to anything. They gave him 1 year for $3 million.
What opened the door was when Brandon Brooks got hurt, and then they decided let's call him and see if he's, receptive to switching positions. And they gave him a $3.5 million base, and I think he can make up to $6 million in incentives. But tackles are making close to $8 to $10 million, I believe, a year. Now there is one tackle that might get released because of the Yannick Ngakoue trade. Is Minnesota Vikings tackle Riley Reif possible? They gave him basically the ultimatum: restructure or we're releasing you. Now, would the Eagles, if they release him, would the Eagles pounce on that? Now he's going to still want to get paid.
Oh,
so I think the Eagles are going to cave in.
Dave Cartwright, we talked about this briefly. We broke the news. Derwin James out 6 to 8 months, and John Suggs says, "What team picks up Fournette?" I saw one of the leaders being the Chicago Bears. Chicago
Bears are the favorites right now.
Yeah.
What's his name? David Montgomery's hurt right now.
I thought it wasn't that bad. They said though. Was it a groin? That's what
I thought a team like Washington would pounce on them, especially with when they released Darius Geis.
Yeah.
With his
trouble. They're up there too.
And because Adrian Peterson right now is their starter.
Yeah, maybe nobody wants to play for the Washington football team.
Yeah, the Washington football team. Yeah, so it was Washington was like the third or fourth favorite. New England was one up there too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Fournette doesn't give you he's a good running back. Like he would have been a better running back for like the late 90s, early 2000s. I don't think he's a running back for this time because you're looking for somebody that's a little more of a could do it all as far as, could catch the ball a little bit consistently out of the backfield. That's not his bread and butter. That's not his strength. I mean, this is a guy that, could pound it up to, as far as, red zone reliability and between the tackles. But, this day and age, I don't know.
Dave saying he might go to the Steelers. Could be another two-headed monster there with James Conner, possibly, if he could stay healthy. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. Mike Galletta, co-host of back-to-back co-host of Teeing Off, giving us some input. I heard the Bucs, but they have Ronald Jones and drafted the kid from Vandy, so they're out. I wouldn't say they're out yet, man. They've been they have 17 tight ends and 15 wide receivers that they keep going after and keep grabbing. So just one more running back's not going to hurt them. It's only going to build their chances to go get a Super Bowl, and that's what you want. So I would have no problem with them getting him either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're closing out our show right now. Paul, at 45, 50 minutes went by like that, buddy.
I know. When we're really so there's the lines.
There's the odds for the services of Leonard Fournette. You have the Bears as the leaders, Pats, Bucks in the top three, and that Washington football team that takes up way too much space.
Just pull Washington, for God's sakes.
Oh, he's fixing it.
Just put football team. We'll
WFT instead of
WFT.
What?
Yeah, WFT.
We got to make sure we get this in there.
Yeah. Mazio wants me at least for 2 hours on, but I don't think I could do that anymore. I don't have it in me to do 2-hour shows. Have we ever done a 2-hour show? I don't think we have.
I mean, I have. I mean, you never did.
Well, we've done it as a team as far as like if it was like the NFL drafts or like, one of the draft shows, but not. Or if we had a guest, like Leo Mazzoni was a while.
That was good.
We had him early in the summer.
That was a good show. Listen, we're going to keep bringing you guests, whether it's on this show, on any of our other shows. We're going to keep bringing you guests. If you didn't miss Ron Jaworski, we got some very, very good feedback and some views from his show. He was a great guy to talk to. I met him in person the last couple times. And our guys. He loved chatting with our guys. I talked to him in person after the show, which was great. Apparently, highly opinionated. Tomorrow is going to be a clear 2 hours. Brian T says.
Yeah, well, they're continuing to do their NFL preview, so I believe this is the one. Obviously the third or fourth week they've been doing it. Eagles will be in a conversation tomorrow night. I'm not sure who's committed to that, but yeah, NFC East and AFC East tomorrow night on the Sports Box. The flagship show, highly opinionated tomorrow night. But obviously coming up next is teeing off at the bottom of the hour, 8:30, going through everything the PGA Tour. So, and it doesn't look like Coletta's too happy with that, with the 2 hour expectation tomorrow night. I don't blame you. So,
yeah. So we're gonna shut this down tonight. We got our friends over at the Teeing Off show coming up in 10 minutes?
Yeah,
we're just going back to back. We're going to give the fans what they want tonight. Since Ron Jaworski took up, I think Teeing Off's Thunder the other night.
Yeah, they didn't do a show last week.
They didn't do a show. I know Mike's pissed. He don't know what's going on. He wanted to talk about the Northern, and we took a little bit of his
the Northern.
Yeah, so the Northern Trust.
Yeah.
So Paul, you can shut us down.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us this evening here on the Sports Box on Sportsmanlike Conduct. We will be back with another show as we turn the calendar to the month of September. So we'll have that next week for you. Well, I don't know. Next week is Labor Day Monday, so.
I don't know about Labor Day.
I don't know.
We'll have to talk to our producer.
We'll see. We might have some things to.
Paulie goes out and gets drunk on Labor Day, so we got to see.
No, I mean, it's just that it's Labor Day. That's a day of observance of whatever. They call
that Glaber Day for the Yankees. Yeah. Glaber Torres.
But that's the post for the last day before school, right?
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I went back today. I
was going to say you're starting this week with in-service stuff.
Oh
right?
Yeah. It's so much fun, dude. I got to wear a mask all day, and it's wonderful.
It's like you work in a hospital. So.
Yeah, I have a welder's mask too that I put on top. They
really?
give us a splash guard. I ain't wearing nothing.
They give the option to do that though.
We have a mask, and then they have like a splash thing, a splash guard. It literally looks like a welder's mask.
You have to wear that?
No. You can if you want to,
but there are people that are doing it.
I have no idea. Wave of the future, brother.
Not
Shut it down.
I'm going to say it. All right, so that's it for this week here on Sportsmanlike Conduct. We will see you next week. I'm Paul Macrie once again with Mike Velardi. Have a great night, everybody, and have a great week.
Thank you for watching the Sports Box. Follow us on Facebook at Sports Box Show, Twitter at Sports Box Show, Instagram at The Sports Box Show. Find us on YouTube and join Outside the Box, our Facebook sports discussion group. The Sports Box is brought to you by our friends at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and use promo code THEBOX at sign up for 10 points. See you next time.